Early this morning, thousands of Floridians woke up to news that their appointments to get treatment for COVID-19 infection were canceled by the Biden administration, which outright revoked authorization for two very popular monoclonal antibody treatments that the state of Florida really pioneered over the summer and that we've worked hard to make available to our residents who needed treatment. Mind you, the people that seek this treatment are overwhelmingly people that have been vaccinated, but yet they're still infected, and many of them are high risk. Now, they are relying on revoking this and pulling the rug out from under people on a single, non-peer-reviewed, non-clinical study that was actually done by a consultant for a rival company to the other two monoclonal antibody treatments. This is not based on a clinical trial. This is not even peer-reviewed. And so this is something that they claim shouldn't be used because we have Omicron. And what we would say in Florida is we have had people use it and we've had good results. It's not 100%. We understand that. But you also don't even know when someone goes in whether it's Omicron or still the Delta. Yes, mostly in Florida it's going to be Omicron at this point. But it's really a reckless decision to be able to take this option away from patients when we've had the site set up, we've had this distributed to different medical groups or hospitals. And if somebody wants to try, it was very effective against the Delta. If you look at once that program went in, you saw a huge decline in hospitalizations, and we were proud to be able to fill really a void which shouldn't have existed if you had people, the higher ups, were actually promoting early treatment, which they weren't. So we're proud of that. But even if with Omicron it's half as effective, or even 25% as effective, that's better than nothing for people. And as I've said, anecdotally, we've had people that have had their symptoms resolved after doing it just in the last month of doing this. So this is wrong what they're doing. And we have many people now who are very concerned because they were going to go in and get it today or tomorrow. And now they're being told that it would be illegal for a provider to give it to them, all based off one observational, non-peer-reviewed study. And this is done, I think, in a very haphazard fashion. And you have so many problems with this administration. You look at inflation spiraling out of control, and yet they're doing things to fuel it. You look at the southern border, which has been a total disaster and continues to be to this day. You look what's happening in the gathering storm abroad, whether it's Russia, China, America's adversaries. You have huge, huge problems going on. You have ineffective COVID restrictions and mandates that are being championed in other states that are inhibiting our supply chain and contributing to economic problems. So you have all these issues that could be addressed. And so what do they choose to do with their time? They choose to pull the rug out of elderly patients, most of whom, almost all of them, have been vaccinated, and say you don't have access to this treatment. So we're going to fight back against this because this is just wrong. This is not the way, that you help people. And our view is people have a right to access these treatments, and to revoke it on this basis is just fundamentally wrong, and we're going to fight back.
What's that fighting back look like, Governor?
Well, Mike, I don't know if I'm supposed to call you Mike or some SOB. How does it work now? What's the, no, Mike, I like that better. Well, we're going to see. I mean, we're going to go, I think, first of all, we are going to expose what this actually means for people. We have patients in Florida who have gotten these treatments over the last month and have had their symptoms resolved. I mean, we see that. And again, maybe you do a clinical trial and it'll show it's less effective than against Delta. That may be the case. But we have patients who have benefited. That's just a fact. And so if there's a chance to benefit, particularly for these high-risk people, when do it. So we're going to be able to let them tell their story. We also have people all of a sudden, they're getting text messages saying your treatment's canceled. And what does that mean for them? What are they supposed to do now? So you're taking away treatment, which is something that's very, very important. But then just think of the angst that that adds on to somebody. They think they're going to be able to go in and do it. And first of all, these appointments are hard to get because they cut our supply in the first place. You know, they had months and months to prepare for a winter wave, and I think they tried to tell themselves that over the summer, when you have Sunbelt has their high COVID season, that it was just because they're a bunch of backwards yokels and everything like that. First of all, it's not true. We've always had higher vax rate than the nation as a whole, and you have places like Israel now that are on their fourth shot, and they are setting world records for infections. And so clearly you have to have a more holistic approach to this, and treatment's an important part. But, you know, they had months and months and months to stockpile this, and they chose not to do it. So I think part of it is, I think there's politics at play, but I think part of it is I just don't think they have enough treatments to go around. And I think they realize that, and I think it would look very bad to be able to admit that. So instead, they're saying this is revoked. You know, they don't have the same standard for things like remdesivir, which has been used in hospitals. I don't think the data on that has been very promising at all, and yet you don't see them revoking EUA on that. You don't see them revoking EUA on other things. I mean, normally, these things all went through clinical trials. Normally, you know, you would have to have some serious clinical data to do it, and they'll say, well, it's a new variant. Well, the vaccines were created for an old variant too. So this is something that is clearly they're going above and beyond to be able to deny access to people. And again, we just think that that's wrong.